Hey guys, this is Rocking3 bringing another live commentary Forza 5. This is going to be part of the parts and tune videos that I do, and this one's going to be a top 100 car. I got 63rd in just a couple of laps. I wish I would have ran it a little bit longer. I had some pretty good times going. I also ran it on the Alps tracks. I did the stop plots and the two longer ones. I always forget the names of which ones are which. And I got top 100 on the stop plots, and actually I don't think I ever got a clean lap, but I probably got in the top 75 on the really long one. It's actually a little bit better for the longer one because the extra turn is where this car has an advantage. So speaking of the car, this is a 2008 Dodge SRT Viper. And you can see I got 63rd there. I want to go ahead and show you guys the run around here. I went ahead and put the top 100 person out on the track, and we should be able to beat him by half a second, if not a little bit more. Doing a little risk here by going this direction because the city is in the middle. So one thing about this car, it is a sports transmission, and you're going to see something a little bit odd about this is that I will not get out of fourth gear. And the reason for that is fifth gear, for some reason, is you can't adjust it individually, and for some reason fifth gear has such a huge space in this car. So you wrap out fourth gear and you try to go to fifth, and it just kind of bogs down. You lose a lot of acceleration. So with first, second, and third being kind of tight together, and that was a bad turn right there, but this is just a warm-up lap. With the gears first through fourth being nice and tight, I went ahead and just did a tune for 4 speeds. I actually tuned it for the Alps, but it works on Prague. It's kind of, those two tracks are kind of one and the same. Nothing too tight turning, not too many hard braking zones. So they work really well between the two of them. This would work good on Prague reverse, probably any of the Prague, to be honest. One other thing that you're going to find odd when you see the tune is I have the brake pressures up to 200%. I've been doing that on a lot of my cars. I'm just cranking them way up and then just being really, really gentle on the brakes. For me, it does make the car stop a lot faster, but my driving style is to brake a little bit later than most people. So I really need that extra stopping power. That wasn't good, but that's right. This is still just a warm-up lap. Hey, we didn't need that. Oh, let's actually grab that back. Actually, I think my next lap's going to be dirty because of it, but I wanted to keep the spoiler just so if you don't catch this, you're not confused of why I don't have a spoiler on it. And that's okay if this is dirty. I should still be able to beat my rival here. And my rival is a crossbow. Who would have thought it? There's a lot of crossbows on this particular track. And really, A-Class and S-Class really has a lot of crossbows that are dominant on a lot of tracks, which is why I chose not to go that direction. I thought about doing the Ferrari F50 because that one's also very tunable, very easy to drive car. But I don't think the Dodge Viper is quite as overpowered as the other ones that I just spoke of. Just gonna leave that in third gear there, let it slow it down a little bit because it does try to push out a little bit there. We're just gonna rev it up. Being in third kind of helps here because then I don't move to make the tires spin too much and I don't lose traction. Try to go inside the yellow line here on the back half so I can start accelerating a little sooner. Oh, that was a bad line right there. I needed to go out a little bit wider. Here we go. Catching time. I let off right here in the yellow just as I started. tap the brakes because I went a little late there. And we're going to beat it by quite a bit again. And actually it was a clean lap, so that's cool. Alright, we got it. So we beat the 100th place by about a second. Now there's more jumps in here. There's a couple more seconds when you get into the top 10. But this car, I believe, the way it is built right now is very capable of that. It has good handling, has some good turn in, and it holds the turn. You have to have a little bit of throttle control, especially on Prague because of the kind of the slick track on here. But I think if you give it a couple tries, you'll get used to it pretty quickly because it's pretty easy to drive. It almost seems like you're driving slow, but it actually is doing really fast laps. I don't know if we actually improved. I don't think we actually improved. Oh, no, we did. We're in 51st. I was just behind that unbeaten DJ Chris before in 63rd. So it looks like I passed him on that one. So not too bad. That was just one full lap of it and probably wasn't a perfect lap, but still pretty happy with it. So let's go ahead and go over to the parts bin and see what kind of parts I put on here. This one's actually going to be a little bit unusual. What I try to do instead of putting the centrifugal charger on there and the supercharger and the turbos is I try to use the regular parts, trying to get it a little bit lighter. I think we did a good job with it. So we'll start over here in the conversions. We left it rear-wheel drive. As you see, I usually do the centrifugal supercharger. I left it off this time. Excuse me. So here you're going to find a lot of upgraded parts here. So we have the race intake. And again, a lot of these moves were to make the car overall lighter. We have the race intake. We have the race fuel system. We have the race ignition. And of course, this is going to make this very expensive to purchase. Race exhaust. We have the stock cams. Just wasn't able to move that up. I would have liked to. Let me see. Yeah, it's just too many points. 24 points was just too many. We have the race valves. We have the race engine block. The race pistons. And this is stock oil and cooling. Nothing changed there. And nothing but the flywheel. We're going to have the race brakes, the race front and rear anti-roll bars. No cage on this one. We have the full weight reduction. 2969 was the weight of the car. I seem to like cars right around 3,000. We have the stock clutch. We have the sports transmission. I won't be able to show you that. I'll show you in the tune the gear ratios and why I did what I did. We have the race drive line, and we have the race differential. On the tires, we have race compound, and we have the full width rear tires. And I have the lightest wheels, or at least the equivalent of the lightest wheels. This 9-spoke. I actually don't really care for the looks of it, so I mean it's all personal preference, but I'll probably change those later. No reduction in the front or the rear, so these both are stock on the rim size. And then we have the adjustable front Forza wing and the adjustable, I think that's not the Forza wing, but the stock wing is really big. But I did leave that on there because it was adjustable. So let's go to the tune. This is a little bit odd. I usually have the tires even, or I have the fronts a little bit higher than the backs. But for some reason the tire temperatures were a little bit different on this one. So I have 26 and 26.5 for the tire pressure. And this is that gear I was telling you about. So you got good, 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 and then it just drops off. It just goes too far. So I wasn't able to use 5th gear on that. We have a lot of camber on this one. We have 3.5 on the front, negative 3.5 on the front, and negative 3.1 on the rear. Here, this is unusual for me as well. I usually zero these out, but I was having a difficult time getting the car to turn in as sharply as I wanted to. So I went with the toe at the 0.1, and I went with the rear toe at negative 0.1, and that seemed to help a little bit. We had the front caster at 6.0, pretty normal for me. Went a little bit softer with the roll bars, 13.21 in the front, 19.01 in the rear, trying to get that car to turn in a little bit more. Decreasing front anti-roll stiffness reduces understeer. Yeah. We did a little bit of oversteer here on the springs as well as we softened them up, 448.3 and 481.5. I was having difficulty with traction in the rear, so I actually had to soften that up a little bit, but then I had to move the front springs with it. So the key for me was the rear. Ride height is 4.3 and 5.0. That's probably why I had to do different pressure on the tires, is because the difference in ride height there. I'm tempted to maybe flatten out the car, but I think it does okay. I mean, we're in the almost top 50 there. This is actually Race Boy settings. I just gave these a try. This is the first time I've ever tried his rebound stiffness. I don't know if he ends up on this all the time, but it looks like from watching one of his videos, this is a good starting point for him. So I did 11.7, 11.7, and 1.9 and 1.9. I'm going to play around with those settings a little bit because I was closer to the 10, between 10 and 11, and I had pretty good results. But as you see, we're putting some really good times down with 11.7. So really happy with that. Appreciate that, Race Boy. Give you credit for that for sure. I kind of stole that from you. Full downforce front and rear. Well, that is a lot of downforce. And then I have 45% on the brake balance on this Dodge Viper, and then my brake force, and I'm doing this quite a bit, so you guys can still put this where you want to. I think I watched Race Boys. I think he puts his as 125% or something like that. Again, personal preference. This is super high, but since I've moved to that, I've kind of went that direction. Acceleration 32% and deceleration 30%. And I was actually going to save that out for you guys as well. So if you want to build your own, or if you want me to save this out here, I'm going to put this out here. I'm going to do a Rot King S-Class. Alright guys, thanks a lot for watching. Catch you in the next video. Later.